A couple weeks ago, my friend Fitz hit me up and said, hey, I want to enter a Sam Kolder contest. I have zero budget, no crew, but just this awesome idea. And without thinking about it, I said, bet, I'm in. I packed all my gear, we used my place and his house as a set, and we got to work. No fancy locations, no real expensive rentals, just our network and our problem solving. And today, I want to take you through that. I want to take you through the process of how we pulled this off, what worked, what didn't, and why these kinds of projects make you a better cinematographer at the end of the day. So let's get into it.
You got bills to pay. How are you gonna pay rent? You don't feel very good.
So first off, I want to talk about lighting. We need this to feel kind of heavy. The character is wrestling with self-doubt, ambition, and the pressure of everything just coming down. I wanted the lighting and the tonality of the piece to illustrate that as we moved through it. We didn't have a budget for lights, so we had to lean into our network and our knowledge of how to light stuff on a budget. That's crazy. We're calling Batman, bro.
It's so dark.
So we started in the kitchen. We knew that it needed to be a natural look. According to the Milanote references that Fitz sent me, I knew it needed to be natural but also moody at the same time. In order to light that, we really just threw up a diffusion in the window, and it was a cloudy day, so that helped a lot. And we pumped in some light through the window to help build out kind of that kitchen world. From there, it was really just filling the other side and pumping a crap ton of haze in.
I feel like you should hit the windowsill or something kind of, but not too hard.
The biggest thing is your head. You need to drop your head more, right? Yeah. Because that will match up better.
Yeah, and in the Norway footage, it rises to the window.
Okay.
So, but I'll drop it.
Yeah, that'd be great. For the second scene in the kitchen, I wanted the tonality of the piece to change from when it went from him being kind of trapped in his head to more of his girlfriend bringing him back to life, and the struggle between that and himself and trying to find his way through the entire piece. So I knew that the tonality had to change. So I kind of just said, well, this beginning piece is cold, so let's pump a crap ton of warmth in and make it look like the sun is rising in this piece. And it's like, the sun rising is like everything's coming to life, right? Everything's coming back. So when the sun rises, nature comes to life. And obviously warmth represents happiness. So I wanted that to feel warm. Lighting that kind of took some work. We used some mirrors, we used some gels. The mirror was to help reflect one of the bigger lights back in to kind of create that sunrise, that big orb of sun. We were using the blazars and the iron glass. So we knew in that moment when the happy stuff came that we wanted a bunch of lens flares, that we wanted that moment to feel like it just came to life. So that's how we lit the second part of the kitchen. Now, the living room piece of that house was kind of, unfortunately, one of those things that happened last second. We ran out of time, so we threw a couple MCs up, started the actual fire, and if I could get it back, I'd probably throw a light box or a Pablo Slim 240 overhead to just bring up the levels on the subject a little more so they weren't so heavily silhouetted. But that's one of those things in filmmaking, when you run out of time, you kind of just improvise, and sometimes, actually a lot of times, you have to do that on sets. So that's how we kind of got that last look in the house. Moving on to the fish tank. Oh, we got the makeup artist here, Caleb.
How's that? Is he glittery on that side?
He's glittery.
Boom.
So with the fish tank and all the elements, we kind of threw everything at it. Some worked, some didn't. The glitter looked cool, but it thickened the water sometimes, and it kind of bubbled it weird. Some things just didn't hit, but then out of nowhere, one moment, we looked at the monitor, looked at each other, and we're like, oh, dude, this is it.
Shoot.
What?
Holy shit, this looks kind of crazy.
Boom, necklace.
Oh, wow. Holy shit. Oh, that's the shot.
That's it.
So lighting the fish tank space, we had a reference that we wanted to imitate. However, that kind of proved a little difficult as well. I started with negging out all the sides, because I didn't want any type of reflection or light coming through. I threw neg on the top, and then I threw a 120 Pavo Slim over to just kind of bring up the levels of the water a little bit, and then just a 2-foot tube at the very bottom of the corner of the tank to light up so we can get some light on the face. And that was really the overall look for that specific glitter look. Also, for some of the glitter stuff, we shot a spotlight through it with a Nanlite 60, just to catch some of that reflection of the glitter and some of the slow motion parts, which was super sick. Again, happy accident. We were just like messing around. And then the second piece of that puzzle was a FC 500 spotlit straight down. And I just started playing with effects, red, blue, flicker effect. At the end of the day, we were surprisingly happy with how it turned out, considering that we were so burnt out after 3 days. And this was just like, we didn't have time for this, so we had to have it a pickup day. I'll show you the vlog piece from Fitz where he was just like dead to earth as I was on my way.
Day 3 of the production, we're doing more elements in the fish tank. Honestly, I'm exhausted. Ian is exhausted. I think directing for the first time yesterday to filming some of these really newer techniques for me, it's just making me gassed. Like I feel gassed and I feel like I need to take a break, but unfortunately, I don't have that time to take a break.
But man, when we saw that shot, we came to life, and the rest was history on the fish tank aspect.
Oh, okay. Goodbye, hair. Goodbye, hair. You served me right.
So the shop. This was one of the easier lighting setups, but at the same time was rather difficult.
So essentially, we're putting this Pavo Slim up there. We're going to clamp it down. I'm going to help him on the ladder. And we're going to do top down here, and then there's probably going to be a fill light similar to this light hitting me on the side. And yeah, that's most likely it.
I had to set up a Pavo 120 above head, and in order to do that, because that's how Fitz wanted it, I had to get a ladder and climb quite high and lock it up there above his head. Definitely don't try this at home, shitty rigs.
So we have a C-stand duct taped to a ladder to make it a little bit less harsh on me here. And this is fully shitty rigs right here.
Dude, 100%. Gaff tape to a ladder, boom arm C-stand, not even counterbalance with a sandbag or nothing.
It looks so goofy.
This setup is worse than that setup, and that setup's already sketchy.
This whole setup here is sketchy as hell.
We then threw 2 Pavo Slim bulbs up, set them to flicker to create that really gritty, drastic effect because Fitz is shaving his head in this portion of the piece. And then lastly, just to give him a little bit of fill because those Pavos don't really light the room that well, we ended up taking a 120 nan light and creating that moonlight on him. After that, again, another happy accident. At the very end when we were done filming everything, we were like, let's try some colors. Initially, Fitz wanted to try teal and orange, but I was like, let's try red and green. Let's try it, get it real gritty. When we set that to red and green, our eyes just, again, blew up. And when he started screaming, I was like, bro, this has to be part of the piece. Let me go grab my mirror. Let's create some really cool compositions on this, and you can just flash them in. And that's exactly what he did. All right, let's talk lenses. Like every project, you need a good set of lenses, and you need the lenses to help illustrate the story. Here's the lenses that we used. For a majority of the piece, we used the Blazar anamorphic lenses 2 squeeze. A lot of it was shot on the 55 because anything tighter just didn't work for our space, and Fitz just didn't have a wider anamorphic lens. I would have preferred a 40 or even a 33 if they made the Katos in that. I think they do, but we didn't have it. We also used the probe lens for our extreme close-up shots on specific things. And I believe we used the 11mm Sony 1.8, the cheap one that's cropped, on majority of the Snorri Cam stuff and all the wide shutter drag stuff. And the reason why we chose the anamorphics and the iron glass is because we wanted a lot of character, we wanted the flares, and we wanted it to feel nostalgic in some sense. We wanted it to not feel sterile or too clinical. And iron glass and the anamorphics are always kind of a move when you wanted to create some beautiful imagery. For the close-ups, we went with a lot of what I told you, because I want to compress intimate looks. When you shoot on a longer focal length, you're trapping the character in that frame. The background starts to feel like it's closing on them, which mirrors the emotion of the scene. But then when we wanted the weight to lift, we switched to wider lenses. Suddenly, there's more breathing room in the frame, more negative space, letting the audience really feel the shift. And that's the thing. Lens choices aren't just about aesthetics. They control how people experience the actual story. If there's one thing I learned on this project is you don't need a budget. You need intentionality. We shot this entirely at our own properties. Fitz's house, my property, and a couple of borrowed locations. No experienced sets, just making the space feel like the world of the story. So a huge takeaway from this project is I love filmmaking. There's a lot of happy accidents, there's a lot of intentionality, and it's just fun to hang out with your friends, create something new, create art, and make something special. If you like this breakdown, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I would love to know how y'all felt about the piece, or if there was a different way you would approach it. Until the next one, peace!